What's up, everyone? My name is Alan, founder and consultant at FNM Marketing, and welcome to Braze for Technical Marketers. Today, we're going to go over how to dynamically schedule a message via Liquid and API. And this video is actually an attempt to preserve the old art of using the schedule message API endpoint and Liquid date filters to schedule this dynamically sent message based on a custom send time. However, with Canvas context variables, this use case has gotten much easier, but we still want to take a minute to document this legacy way of doing it, which is very technical and fun to set up as well. Let's get started. So for some context here on our FNM Marketing website, our FNM Marketing Playground, if you go to the email tab, we have this field right here where we ask the user to choose a date and receive an email reminder. And think of this as a very simple version of just everyday situations. For example, if you book a flight or if you schedule book an event or schedule a haircut, anything that you do in the future by picking a date, our goal is to set up a 1-day reminder based on the date of the event. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the date of March 8th. So I have something happening on March 8th. Let's go ahead and submit it. I get a thank you message. And then if you check on Braze developer console, or that's what it's used to be called, but if you go to settings, event user log, and then take a look at what I just did. Let's give it one more minute for the data to come in. You can actually see that I did successfully log the custom event date picked with a event property of selected date 2025-03-08. And it's worth noting that the timestamp is coming in at midnight UTC, so that is something to consider. But we have the date passed into my user profile successfully. So this setup actually requires two different campaigns to make this work. The first setup is going to be a webhook that is kind of serving as our scheduler. And the second setup is going to be the actual email that we want to send as a reminder. So we're going to call this scheduler webhook, reminder scheduler webhook, and then we're going to set up our webhook. And for this webhook, we're going to be using the schedule API triggered campaigns because we are scheduling for a date in the future. And we also want to schedule for a dynamic date in the future and not just X days later. We're going to need to use this endpoint. And this schedule API, the main difference between the schedule one versus the send immediately API triggered one is that this one does require a schedule object. So obviously, if you're scheduling something, we need to know when to send this. And then this is actually very cool. I am also seeing for the first time the in local time option. So this actually makes local delivery schedule much easier than the past, which is a very, very cool update to see. So back to our webhook, we do have a template that we've created already. So we're going to insert that real quick. We have our setup, once again, campaigns, trigger, schedule, create, endpoint. And then if we take a look at our webhook raw body, we are going to have to set up a few things here. So first of all, the campaign ID, and this is actually going to be the campaign ID of the email campaign, which we have not created yet. So let's go ahead and delete this just so we don't get confused. That must be a campaign ID from a previous campaign. Recipients, we still want to only send to my test user always. And then the schedule object, which includes time. And this time is actually going to come from the trigger of this webhook campaign. So let's go out of order real quick. So this webhook scheduler is going to be triggered when someone submits the time field on our website, this thing right here, which triggers the custom event date picked. So we are going to look for the perform custom event date picked, and date picked is how this is going to this webhook scheduler will be triggered. Let's actually allow re-eligibility of 0 days, so we can allow for multiple triggers, and then we should be good to go. So back to our messages. Now that we have that set up, the time field is going to come from, and it says required date time is ISO 8601 string, time to send the message. So it's going to look something like, I'm going to insert the liquid, the event property, and the exact event property name is called selected underscore date. So we're going to insert that. So what this tells me right here is that this email will be sent to schedule to send exactly at the selected date that the user has selected in our Playground website. And now we can actually also manipulate this time to send at a dynamic time. So how we would go about doing that is instead of inserting this liquid as the time field, what we would do is maybe assign reminder time equal to some blank value for now. And then let's actually go ahead and create a new variable for um, assign selected date equal to the event property selected date. And then just to make sure we're on the same page here, this selected date variable is actually different from the event property selected date. And actually, just to make it clear, we'll write user selected date just so that we can differentiate the variable names. So I'm simply creating a variable just so that I can make our liquid code look a little bit simpler. And what we're going to do is now we have a variable called user selected date set equal to the selected date field. And we're going to set reminder time equal to user selected date, except we're going to transform this date into what's called Unix format. And then let's say we want to do a 1 day reminder. So we want to send this reminder exactly 1 day before. What we can do is now that we've converted the date to Unix time, we can actually subtract 86,400 seconds from that date. And where is that coming from? That is how many seconds are in 1 day. That's 86,400 seconds. So by subtracting 86,400 seconds from the Unix format of our user selected date, we are now getting that 1 day prior reminder time. And then we do want to make sure that we are reformatting this into our ISO 8601 format, and the capital F will get the job done for us. And then now, instead of inserting selected date, the dynamic time we're going to be using is reminder time. And just FYI, this is keeping things very simple. We are not considering the time zone as of right now, just to keep things very simple. If you remember from a few minutes ago, we mentioned that the timestamp is getting passed in UTC time zone, meaning we chose March 8th. And now the reminder is going to send on March 7th midnight at UTC. However, March 7th midnight at UTC is actually something more like March 6th around 5 p.m. In Pacific time. So actually, that reminder is not going to work for us because that's going to be a date in the past. But you get the idea, and we can definitely drill down a little deeper into how time zones work exactly in the future. Although, because we did turn on the in local time field to be true, now I wonder if that midnight is going to be sent at users' local time. So maybe I will get an email on March 7th at midnight, which is in about 6 hours from now. Stay tuned in the comments to see whether I end up receiving this email or not. Okay. And just realize our API key has been exposed, so that API key will be getting deleted at the end of this video. Okay, so this is the end of our setup for our webhook scheduler, except the campaign ID, which we'll come back to. Let's actually go ahead and save as draft. And then what we'll do right now is actually send the email that's going to be the reminder email itself. So let's go ahead and create a campaign email. And then we'll name this reminder email. Let's see if they have a fun Braze template that we could use that might be appropriate for this. Maybe like and if they don't have a good reminder email, we're just going to choose like a welcome email. Okay, welcome it is. We're going to choose this one. Let's actually do welcome 2. I don't think I've used that one yet. So this is our welcome email. This is going to be the reminder email that we'll send on the dynamic reminder date. And then we'll just keep everything else as part of the default setting. And this email is actually going to be API triggered, and it is going to be API triggered by the webhook that we set previously. Once again, we'll allow for re-eligibility. And then target audiences, will open it up to all users, although it'll be specified by, once again, the webhook that that is powering this email. Remove control group. I think everything is good to go. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and launch this email, which should have no impact. Should not be sending any emails until this email itself is pinged or triggered by our scheduler webhook. Now I'm ready to go back to my scheduler webhook. I'm going to insert the campaign ID in here, and then it's sending to the external user ID Alan, schedule, time reminder time, in local time true. Okay, that looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and send a test. And in our test, let's actually choose selected date. So 2025-03-08. So because we did local time, first of all, we are sending a 1 day reminder. So this should send. You see how the time is already reflected to March 7th. And that's because of the liquid we have going on here. The liquid is taking away one full date from the date that I inserted. Looks like we lost it here. So March 8th here, but it says March 7th. Now my question is, will this send at March 7th midnight local time Pacific time, or will it still somehow send at March 6th 5 p.m. Pacific time? I actually think it'll send at midnight local time because we do have the in local time field checked off. But let's go ahead and send the test. Make sure our webhook has no issues. That looks great. Scheduled by date picked, target audiences, once again, all users, no control group, and then we are going to launch this one. So I did send myself a test email. So I may be receiving that March 7th at midnight, which is in about 6 hours from now. But now that this webhook scheduler is live, as well as this reminder email itself is live, now what would happen if any of you go to our website and go ahead and submit a date for me to get a random reminder email, I will get a reminder email. So I'm going to actually choose March 9th at this point and then submit. It'll say thank you. And because of that action, I should expect to receive an email on March 8th. Stay tuned once again in the comments to see if that happens. Sure, there may have been some syntax issues and setup issues, so it's not 100% guaranteed that I'll get the email successfully, but theoretically, this is the idea. This is how you use Liquid and API to set up a reminder, a dynamic email reminder. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.